Tired of losing your bets or parlays and giving away your hard-earned money to the books without turning a profit? If you buy my package, I'll guarantee you profit within 3 days. If not, I'll work with you for free until you make a positive return in your investment. I'm so confident in delivering results that if I'm not able to get you profitable within 1 week, I'll refund you, no questions asked. I've helped countless members cash out big with my picks, allowing them to live the lifestyle they always wanted. If you want to start cashing, DM me the word START and I'll set you up to become a profitable bettor with my picks.
Wheels. Now, what impresses me the most is going to be the wet handling. Retterstein designed wide circumferential grooves and a special thread compound to quickly channel water away, helping you to stay in control even in heavy rain. And if you need occasional winter traction, it's not half bad in lighter snowy conditions. Most importantly, the tread stays flexible in cooler temperatures while holding up in summer heat, give you predictable, all-year-round handling. Another plus is how quiet they are on the highway, with no super annoying whirling or droning. They're also backed with a 50,000-mile limited tread wear warranty, which is quite solid for a UHP tire. Now, the Hypertrack is priced lower than competitors like Michelin or Bridgestone, making it a best value pick for ultra-high performance tire. But if you're looking for the best ultra-high performance, then the Mission Pilot Sport All Season 4 is a step up from the last pick, with sharper handling, stronger grip, and better braking. Now, depending on the size, it comes with a speed rating of up to 186 miles per hour or 300 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest all-season tires available.
What if your education knew you, knew your strengths, your pace, your dreams? What if learning didn't just happen in classrooms, but anywhere, at any time, in ways that felt more like discovery than discipline? This isn't just wishful thinking, it is happening right now. Welcome to the future of education, where personalized learning and digital transformation are reshaping how we learn, grow, and prepare for the world ahead. Let's take a closer look. For over a century, education looked more or less the same. Desks in rows, a teacher at the front, a single syllabus for all students, regardless of their abilities, learning styles, or pace. This model works.
Here's 3 ways to become a kick-ass video editor. Number 1, you need to be using keyboard shortcuts. This will make you way faster and way more efficient no matter what editing software that you're using. Number 2, you need to be practicing sound design. Sound design can make a really boring video into a really exciting video. And last but not least, focus on telling a story. Practice editing all different types of projects in order to improve your storytelling abilities.
I think it's self-realization. So I'm constantly aware of my habits. I'm constantly aware of my mental thoughts. I'm constantly aware of people that I hang out with. And in that, you kind of develop an awareness for the world. It's not an intuitive awareness. It's a proactive awareness.
Discipline is the secret for long-term success. When I first started my agency, I relied on motivation to get me through the early stages. I'd wake up excited, ready to crush the day, but then something would happen. I'd face a challenge, get tired, or simply lose that initial spark, and suddenly I didn't feel like working anymore. It's like starting a workout routine. At first, the excitement and motivation gets you to the gym, and you're all in, pushing yourself hard. But after a few weeks, the novelty wears off, and the motivation starts to fade. That's when the true test begins. Will you continue going to the gym even when you don't feel like it? That's where discipline steps in. Just like in fitness, business success doesn't come from motivation alone. It's the discipline to show up every day.
The corner of a high-backed velvet booth.
This is exactly how Canva democratized.
He knew that voice better than his own heartbeat. He's here somewhere, lurking in the corners like a lost puppy, Victoria said. Her voice wasn't affectionate. It was laced with a tired, performative exasperation. Why do you even bring him, Vic?
Sorry.
Lance's voice was smooth, dripping with mock sympathy. The guy teaches history. What does he know about
during the industrial age, when standardization was the goal, but today that approach is becoming a barrier more than a bridge. Because today's students don't just want to memorize, they want to understand. They want learning that adapts to them, not the other way around. That is where personalized learning comes in. So what is it really? It is a way of learning that is tailor-made for you, your style, your speed, your needs. Some students are visual learners, others prefer hands-on practice.
A lot of people don't know that I'm actually the podcast guy. We've been posting videos recently about subtitles and caption tutorials, and those have blown up on our YouTube channel. So we figured, why not spend the next 3 months doubling down on YouTube? We're going to give you more tools and more ways to create within Premiere Pro and CapCut. But let us know in the comments on what you want to see next, and we hope you take this journey with us. We appreciate y'all, and we will see you soon.
Hey guys, what's going on?
I feel like I'm married to
my name
a
is
child.
DJ. I've been a remote appointment setter
useless
for roughly
child who
1.5
thinks reading
years,
books
made it
pays
all the
the
way up to
mortgage.
$10,000 a month.
I need a
And in this
partner,
training, I'll be
not a
teaching you
dependent.
specifically how you can become a
You could
remote
do
appointment
better,
setter in
Lance
2025. Why I still believe that is actually one of the best
Maybe,
opportunities to get
Victoria
into
said.
to really achieve
didn't
that
pull
location
away.
freedom, that time freedom,
Maybe I'm just
and the
waiting for
financial
him to
freedom
realize
that
he
you may
doesn't
be looking
belong
for.
here.
So if you're interested in those things,
Jake
you
stood
definitely
there
want to
for a
watch
long
it till the
moment.
end of this video.
He looked
because
down
by
at
the
his
end of
cheap
it,
shoes,
Even when you're not
then
feeling
at
it,
his
that
cheap
builds
watch.
real momentum. When I stopped
Boom.
relying on motivation and
Humiliation
started
didn't
setting
burn.
habits, that's when I made
It
true
froze.
progress. I didn't need to feel
turned
motivated
his
every
blood
day.
into
I just
ice
needed to
water.
trust the process and stay disciplined to my goals.
realized
I set a
with a
clear, achievable
terrifying
routine.
clarity
Instead of waiting for motivation,
woman
I
in the
created a
emerald
daily
dress
habit that's
wasn't his
non-negotiable.
wife.
Even if I had only 30 minutes,
She was
I'd
a
commit to that
stranger he
every
had
day.
been
I'd break
sleeping
big
next to
tasks
for
into
years.
smaller, manageable steps. This
He
helps
didn't
to make the
storm
work
in.
feel less overwhelming,
didn't
so I
throw
can
his
stay on
drink.
track without relying on bursts
didn't
of
make a
motivation to
sound.
get things done. Discipline is the habit
Jake
of doing the
Montgomery
work,
simply
regardless of how
turned
you feel in the
around
moment. It's
and
what will
walked
keep you
toward the
moving forward
elevator.
long after motivation
The
fades.
doors slid open
I
with
think
a
it's
soft
something
chime,
that the market
inviting him
overlooks
into the
is
silence.
the fact that when you,
As the
when you,
car
when you
descended
lock in a
40
mortgage,
floors,
you're not
taking him away
susceptible
from
to
the
rate
Sapphire
increases, which
Lounge,
is what you just talked about.
Jake
You know,
took
that's
off
that's
the
the one
tie.
thing a lot of these guys talk about.
Then,
You know,
he reached
go
into
rent.
his
You know,
pocket
home
and
prices
touched
are
the
too high,
cold
interest
metal
rates are
of
too
his
high.
house
You know,
key.
go rent. And I'm thinking
He wouldn't be
well,
needing that anymore.
You're going to pay more every
The
year.
apartment on the 30th
You know,
floor
you're going to pay more
was
every
silent.
year.
A
To me, it just
meticulously
doesn't make
curated
sense. Even if
museum
you
of
lock
a
in a
life
little higher
Jake
than what
could
your
no
rent is,
longer
when you look
afford
at
to visit.
If you're not sure which tire to choose for your
stepped
car,
inside,
truck, or
not bothering
SUV,
to turn
don't
on the
worry.
main lights.
I've got you. With
The
so
glow
many
from the
options
city
out there,
outside
it's
filtered
easy
through
to
the
get
floor-to-ceiling
overwhelmed.
windows,
Some focus on
casting
winter
long,
grip, others
skeletal
promise a
shadows
smooth
across the
ride,
Italian
and a bunch
marble
of them
floor.
seem plain confusing.
He
I
moved
did a
with
lot
a
of research,
surgical
and after reading
precision
reviews,
that surprised
comparing
him.
specs, and
There
watching
was no
countless
rage,
test videos,
no
I found the
frantic throwing
8
of
best
clothes,
all-season tires
no
for you.
tearing of
And if you find
photographs.
something you like,
It
I'll
was a
leave links to all
dismantling.
these tires in the description below.
He walked
The
into
first
the
tire
master
is going to be a
bedroom.
straightforward
The
choice
scent
if
of
you want
Victoria's
premium performance
expensive
without
lavender
the high
pillow spray
price.
heavy
The
in the
Vredestein
air.
Hyper Track All-Season
used to
offers
smell
good
like
handling,
home.
strong grip, and
Now
a
it
smooth
smelled
ride.
like a
It's
lie.
considered an ultra-high performance tire,
pulled a
making it
duffel
great
bag
for
from the
both
back
fun
of the
driving
closet.
and long
He
trips.
packed
It has a
only what he had
500
brought into the
treadwear
marriage.
rating, which means it's
A
made
few
to last
shirts,
longer than many
his worn
typical
leather
performance
notebook,
tires.
his
The
laptop,
sidewalls were even styled
and the
by
first
Giorgetto
edition of The
Giudiadio,
Great
which
Gatsby
won't
he
boost
had bought with
traction,
his first
but it definitely
paycheck as a
adds a
teaching
sleek look.
assistant.
You know exactly what it is
He
and
left
whether
the
it is
suits
something that you
Victoria had
personally
bought
want to
him.
pursue. All right, and if
He
you
left
don't know
the
me
watch
yet,
she had
again,
given
my
him
name is
for their
DJ.
5th
I've been an
anniversary.
appointment setter for 1.5
The
years,
Rolex
as
he
I
never
just
wore
mentioned,
because it
but I've
felt too
also been
heavy on
able
his
to build
wrist.
my businesses personally
He
up
walked
to
to the kitchen island,
$500,000 a month
the
in
cold quartz
2022 with my
surface gleaming
ex-business
in the
partner,
dark.
Bastian Slot, when we're still
Slowly,
being branded
he
under the
slid the
name
gold band from his
appointmentssetter.com.
left ring
Recently,
finger.
we've just branded the
It left a pale
chatSnipers.com, where we train
indentation
appointment
on his
setters
skin,
in full
a
transparency.
ghost of a
My goal is
commitment.
not to make money off of
He
you,
placed
but
the
my
ring on
goal
the
is really
counter.
to explain
Next
what the
to
skill
it,
set is and how
he
it can
set
help you
his house
break free
key
from the
and the
9
key
to 5
fob for
trap,
the building.
or whether you're already inside formal
He stood there
education,
for a
where
moment,
you already know that the
listening to the
trajectory that
hum
you're
of the
on.
Some
refrigerator.
move quickly through concepts.
He thought about
Others
leaving a note.
need more time to
He thought
process.
about writing down the
Personalized
words
learning
she had
powered
said
by
in the lounge,
artificial intelligence
just so she would
doesn't
know
treat
why.
everyone the same.
But he
It
realized
creates
that
individual
explanation was a
learning
form of
paths so
intimacy.
that every
He
student
had
can
nothing left
thrive.
to give her.
Imagine an app that
Jake
realizes
picked
you
up the
are
duffel
struggling
bag.
with algebra. So
walked
it
to the
switches
door,
to
opened
visual
it, and
examples
stepped out.
and slows down.
He didn't look
Meanwhile,
back.
another student
The
who
latch
is
clicked
grasping
shut,
things
a
faster
sound final
moves
enough to
ahead
end
to
the
the
world.
next topic. That is not not science fiction. It is already happening. Platforms like Khan Academy, Coursera, Duolingo, and Dreambox are using.
Her feet ached, and her head was spinning from one too many celebratory champagnes. The apartment was dark. "Jake," she called out, her voice echoing in the hallway. "Don't tell me you're sulking in the dark. It's pathetic." She waited for his reply. The usual soft apology, the offer to make her tea, the predictable rhythm of their domestic routine. Silence. "Jake, seriously, I know. You left early." "You embarrassed me," she muttered, walking into the kitchen to pour a glass of water. She flipped the light switch.
Canva made
The
design
sudden brightness
accessible
stung
for
her
everyone.
eyes.
Canva
She
made
squinted,
design accessible
reaching
to
for a
every
glass,
single person.
but her hand froze. There, in the center of the pristine island,
Raising over
sat a
$71
small pile of
million
metal.
in their early stages.
Victoria stared at it. Her mind, slowed by alcohol, struggled
With
to
the pitch deck,
process the visual data.
This
The house
is exactly
key,
how they did
the
it
fob,
and the pitch deck.
and the ring.
This is exactly the
She
pitch deck
frowned,
they used
a
and
laugh
how it
bubbling in her
resonated
throat.
with investors.
Is
What
not
is
going
this?
to be for you. So guys,
Some
first
kind of
let's go
dramatic
over
statement?
what actually is appointment
She
setting.
walked
Well,
to the
appointment
bedroom.
setting is basically a
Jake,
skill
if you
set
think
where you send
taking off your
messages
ring is going
for
to make
already
me-
successful business owners
bedroom
that
was
mainly
empty.
operate on
The bed
Instagram,
was made.
Facebook,
The
TikTok,
duvet
sometimes
perfectly
LinkedIn,
smooth.
and you're going to
She
send
checked the
messages
bathroom.
from the name of that
Empty.
business.
She checked
And
the guest
typically
room.
what that means is that
Empty.
you're going to be the voice
A
of the
cold
creator
prickle of
that
unease
puts out the
started at the
content
base
that
of
runs
her
the
neck.
business behind that, right?
She went back
so
to the
maybe
closet.
you've seen these pages
His side
on
was
Instagram,
sparse,
on
but not
Facebook.
empty.
Like you say, a 10-year
He had left the
period,
expensive
you're going to be in
things.
way better shape.
He had
you know,
left
and then you got,
everything she had
equity
molded
and
him
everything
into.
else. It's like
She
when you
returned
put
to
it in
the
the
kitchen
contract.
and picked up
okay,
the
you put in the
ring.
contract. The seller, we negotiate the deal, and in the
cold.
contract, the seller says, as
She
is.
pulled out her phone
Right,
and dialed
will
his
not
number.
do repairs. Okay, real capital
number
letters.
you are calling
right?
is no
and,
longer in
and
service.
every single time, and I mean,
Victoria
I'll tell the
pulled the
seller, like,
phone
we're gonna
away
put it in
from
there.
her
That way
ear,
they know.
staring at the screen.
But they're gonna come back after the
tried again.
inspection, and they're gonna have a list of stuff
Same
for us to
result.
repair, and they're gonna
She
submit it
opened
to
her
us, just
messages.
like you didn't even say that.
His profile
and
picture
you
was
adaptive
gone.
learning to personalize
apartment
the
wasn't just
experience,
quiet.
and the results
It was
speak
vacant.
for themselves. Now let's
The air
talk about
felt
the
different,
technology that is
thinner,
making this all
as if the
possible.
oxygen had
AI,
been sucked
machine
out along
learning,
with him.
and advanced analytics
She
are
looked at
at
the
the
ring
heart
in her
of this
palm.
revolution.
The
AI
gold
doesn't
circle
just
reflecting
grade
the
your
kitchen
paper,
lights.
it analyzes
For the
how
first
you
time
learn
that night,
and tailors
the
content
buzz of
in
the
real
alcohol
time.
evaporated,
Machine learning systems
replaced
track
by a
how
hollow,
students
gnawing
interact with
sensation
lessons
in her stomach.
and adjust based
She
on
wasn't
patterns.
looking at a
The
tantrum.
more you learn,
She
the
was looking at an erasure. Jake, she whispered, the name sounding small in the vast, expensive room. But ghosts don't answer.
Hold on, let me pause here for a moment, because that silence was louder than any scream. Jake didn't fight, he didn't argue. He just left his ring and his keys. By doing that, he didn't just leave the house, he erased his existence from her life instantly. That is terrifying. It turns her fancy home into a cold graveyard of memories. If you were in Jake's position, would you have written a letter, or is silence the ultimate punishment?
5 years
On
could
LinkedIn,
erode a
maybe you've been
canyon.
approached by some
But
of
in
these people as
Chicago,
well, looking for
it
different
was just
things,
enough
assuming
time
that
to build
you
a
look in this
fortress
video
of
to learn
ice.
new skills. There's a high chance
Victoria
that you already
Sterling stood
interacted
at
with
the
an
window
appointment
of her
setter in the
corner
past,
office on the
but they
45th
basically
floor of the
reach out to
Sterling
leads
building.
that inform about
The
their product or the
view was
service that the
commanding.
creator sells.
The gray
And then the
expanse of
goal
Lake
is to
Michigan
basically
merging
set
with the steel
appointments.
skyline.
And we're going to set
But
those
the temperature
appointments
inside
not
the
just
room
by
felt
sending
colder than the
messages
winter
towards
winds
people and be
whipping
like, hey,
against the glass.
do you want to be on an appointment? But
She took a
literally
sip
by
of
figuring out
espresso.
like what their goals are,
It was
what
bitter,
their problems are,
lukewarm,
and then seeing
and
that
entirely
whatever we have to
necessary.
offer, what we set an appointment for,
She had done it.
is a solution.
You're going to probably
She
end
had
up doing
clawed
some
her
of
way
them
up
because
from
you
a
want the deal to
senior
work.
associate to the
But I knew
managing
that a lot of those
director of
agents
Whitmore
wouldn't exist
Capital.
later because they
She
did
had
not
the
answer
title,
their phone. I would
the
call those
salary that
foreclosure
dwarfed
agents,
her old
and they
dreams,
would not answer all of them. They
and
were
the fear
notorious. They
of
just
every
would not
junior
answer.
analyst
And I was
in
like,
the building.
okay, you want to play that game? I'm just gonna, I'm
But the
gonna,
silence in her
you know,
office
I'm
was
gonna
not the
represent all these
peaceful
buyers.
quiet of a
You know, my
library.
business is gonna continue to
It was the
grow.
pressurized
You guys are gonna be
silence
gone
of a
as soon as
submarine
foreclosures are
taking
gone.
on water.
I used to talk about
The door burst
EXP
open.
like their Apple. Apple
Lance Silver
isn't
didn't
worth
knock.
$2 trillion over. Or
5
what are they
years
worth,
ago,
$3 trillion
his
now,
arrogance had been
probably.
charming.
Yeah, they're not worth
A sign
trillions
of a
because the
go-getter.
iPhone, they're worth trillions
Now,
because
with his hairline
smarter the
receding
system
and the
becomes,
desperation
then
of
there is
missed
virtual
quarterly
and
targets
augmented
etched into his
reality.
face.
Imagine
It was
walking
just a
through the
noise.
streets of ancient Rome,
They rejected the
diving into the
restructuring proposal,
bloodstream, or
Lance
solving
said,
physics
throwing a
problems
thick
by
folder
literally
onto her
stepping
mahogany
into a
desk.
simulation.
The
That is
board
the
is
power
panicking.
of immersive
Vic,
education.
the stock is
Gamification
down
turns
another
lessons into
12%
challenges
since
and
the
stories.
opening bell.
Points, badges,
Victoria
leaderboards.
turned slowly,
It all keeps learners
her face a
engaged
mask
and
of
motivated,
practiced indifference.
especially younger students.
Panic is for
And
people who
cloud-based
can't do
platforms
math,
make
Lance.
education global
We
and
just need a
mobile.
liquidity
You
injection.
can learn from top of professors.
Partners in New York? New York isn't picking up, Lance snapped, running a hand through his thinning hair. We're toxic. Nobody wants to touch a firm that's bleeding assets this fast.
Professional design
except
tools were
one.
too complex and way
Victoria
too
walked
expensive
to her
for
desk
everyday
and sat
users.
down, the leather chair creaking softly.
They connected?
Who? Lance hesitated. He pulled a second, thinner file from his briefcase and slid it
They
across
built
the
upon
desk.
the pain and the idea of
The
non-design
logo on the
accounting.
cover was minimalist, embossed in silver
built
against
upon the
matte
pain.
black cardstock.
Yeah.
We got a hostile tender offer this morning. All cash. They're offering a premium over the current share price, but they want full controlling interest. Total board replacement. Victoria opened the file. Her eyes scanned the numbers first. The valuation was aggressive, almost predatory. It was a move designed not just to buy a company, but to conquer it. Then, her gaze drifted to the letterhead. Montgomery Holdings. Her breath hitched in her throat. For a split second, the world tilted.
Of a couple of products, and then
the name
bought a bunch
echoed
of
in her
different
mind,
companies,
conjuring
right?
images of a tweed jacket,
I look at
a
what
shy
EXP's
smile,
doing with all their cash
and a
and their
cheap
profit and their
Timex
investments and
watch.
companies they buy, and I'm
Montgomery,
like, this is the juggernaut,
she said aloud,
of the real
the
estate
word
world.
tasting like ash.
I guess I'm not as big of
Private
a
equity
visionary
firm
as
out
some
of
these
Boston
agents
mostly,
who are willing to
Lance
join a company
explained,
that
oblivious to
loses
the
a lot of
shift
money.
in her demeanor.
They've
been eating up
I can't wrap
distressed
my head
assets
around
in the
it.
Midwest for
Going
the
to a
last
company
18
that's
months.
publicly traded that
Nobody
loses
knows much
a lot
about
of
the
money,
principal.
and all the thing I can
He
think of
operates
is that
through shell cores
they're-
until the deal is
either
signed.
they just don't look at it and they don't care,
Victoria
and they're not
closed
even
the
paying
folder.
attention to it, or
She forced
they're
a
like,
short, sharp
no,
laugh.
companies lose money for a
It's a
while and then
common
they do
name.
really well.
In another country while sitting in your
Montgomery.
bedroom at
It's a
11
common
p.m.
name,
on a
Lance.
tablet.
Don't
The
look at me
impact
like
of
that.
this transformation is
She
already
stood
being
up,
felt around the
smoothing the
world.
front
In
of her
rural
skirt.
India, solar-powered tablets are
ex-husband couldn't
giving
balance a
children
checkbook without a
access to
calculator,
high-quality lessons
let alone run a
without
private
a
equity
school
empire.
building. In
He's
Finland,
probably
teachers use
teaching
real-time
history to bored
student
freshmen
data
in some
to
community
adapt how
college in
they
Ohio.
teach. While they teach,
She
in
said it
South
with
Korea,
conviction,
AI tutors
but her
are
hand
being
trembled
used
slightly as she
alongside
reached for
human
her pen.
instructors to
She
provide
had told herself he was
laser-focused
gone,
type prep based on
dead,
each
maybe,
student's
or
learning
just
curve.
faded away like
These
old
aren't
newsprint.
pilots. They are
She
success
had convinced
stories.
herself
Technology
that
is
the man
not
who
just
left
closing
his
the
wedding ring
education
on the
gap,
kitchen
it is
counter
rewriting the
lacked the
rules.
spine
But
for
don't
this
worry,
kind of
this
solution
corporate
fitting
warfare.
to the goal and the problem that that person
The board
actually
wants
has.
to take the
And
meeting,
then once that is a match
Lance
for that
said,
person,
his
it will
voice
also
dropping.
start to make sense to actually be
We
on
don't
a
have a
call
choice,
with that
Victoria.
company and then
If
to
we don't
figure out
sell,
whether they should
we're
move forward or
insolvent
not.
by
So that is
Christmas.
really the skill of appointment setting
Victoria
in a
looked at the
nutshell
black
and what
folder
you're supposed to
again.
be doing on a daily
Montgomery
basis. So it
Holdings.
really involves
It sat
messaging a
there
lot
like a
of people
monolith.
either inbound or
Fine,
outbound, which we'll
she
get to in a
said,
second as
her
well, on
voice
what those
hard.
terms specifically
Set it
mean
up.
on a daily basis.
Let's see who
So
these
one of the
vultures
things
are.
that you're probably wondering
But tell them
that
if they
what is
think
the
they can
skill
walk
of an
into my
actual
building
appointment
and
setter
strip it for
inside a
parts.
business. Well, these
They're in for a
creators,
fight.
as I just explained, are going to
She didn't know
actually
it yet,
make sure that they draw the
but the
attention
fight had
of
already
the
been
leads
lost
that should
5
be
years ago
interested in their product or
in a
are
lounge
actually
with a
the
velvet
best fit
curtain.
for them. We call them
She was just
the avatars.
waiting
They
for
built
the
upon the pain of
executioner
people
to
that didn't have a
arrive.
design background
The
to be able to
Itzati
build a
boardroom on the
platform that made
50th floor
designing
was
easy.
designed to intimidate. A 40-foot table of polished
Next
black
up, the
walnut
solution.
dominated the center, surrounded by chairs
drag
that
and drop
cost more than
interface
most cars. Usually,
with pre-designed
Victoria felt
templates.
like a queen here. Today, she felt like a defendant
Making
waiting
high-quality
for a
designs
verdict.
not only simple but
The
also
entire
affordable
executive
to
board
anyone.
of Whitmore Capital was assembled. The
The
silence
market
was heavy,
opportunity,
broken only by the nervous tapping of Lance's pen against his notebook.
as
They
for
had
the market
signed the
opportunity,
preliminary papers an
Canva,
hour
come aqui,
ago.
Canva.
The company was gone. Now they were just waiting to meet their new masters.
As for the market
They're
opportunity,
5 minutes late, Lance whispered, checking his watch. Sweat beaded on his upper lip. That's a power move. Be quiet, Lance, Victoria hissed, though her own hands were clenched so tightly under the table that her knuckles were white. The double doors at the far end of the room didn't bang open. They swung inward with a smooth, hydraulic hiss. A woman entered first. She was sharp, efficient, holding a tablet against her chest. This was Sarah Chen, the COO of Montgomery Holdings. She walked to the head of the
And
table,
by aiming at
Victoria's
the
usual
avatar
seat,
with certain
and
amounts of
placed a
content
single
and certain
stark,
pieces
heavy
of
fountain
content
pen
that they
on the wood.
specifically curate
Good morning,
to draw the
Sarah
attention
said,
of these people
her voice
is
clear
where
and
these
devoid
appointment
of
setters,
warmth.
people like
Please
yourself
remain
who desire
seated
to
for
learn
the
this skill,
CEO.
would then actually come in.
Victoria
Because what's
straightened her
going to happen
spine.
is that they,
She
for
prepared her
example,
face,
if you have seen an
the
Instagram
mask of
page
the
that
Iron Lady.
has appointment setters on it,
She expected
you
an
typically
older
see
man,
posts where they're
perhaps a
like,
Boston
DM
blue
me,
blood
for
with a
example,
trust fund.
action to learn how to get started,
Then a
or
shadow
come in
fell
PDF
across the
to get this
doorway.
free course. And then
The
what
man
that
who
happens
walked in
is
was
that
wearing
an
a
appointment
navy
setter
bespoke
is then
suit
going to actually
that fit him
message
like
you
a second
from that
skin.
keyword, sending you the
The fabric was
Canva
Italian,
catered to
the cut
to the high demand
aggressive,
of
accentuating broad shoulders and a lean,
easy-to-use
powerful
design
frame.
tools.
He moved with
As
a
for the market
predator's grace,
opportunity,
silent
Canva
and
caters
assured.
to the non-complexity and ease to
Victoria's
use.
breath caught in her throat.
Food,
Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs.
Mano, para
It
já é
was
bué
the
fedido ouvir que tu
jawline.
levar a coisa nos atrás e estás longe.
Sharper now, covered in a manicured stubble that hid the boyish softness she remembered. It was the hair,
As for the market
no longer
opportunity,
messy and
Canva
overgrown,
pointed out to the demand of
but styled back
easy-to-use,
with precision.
non-design-based tools.
But mostly, it
It
was
isn't
the
about
eyes.
replacing teachers. In
Jake
fact,
Montgomery
teachers
stood
are
at the
more
head of the
important
table.
than ever.
He didn't look at the
Technology
board
is simply
members.
helping them
He didn't
shift
look
the
at the
roles
view.
from content
He looked
providers
directly at
to learning
Victoria.
coaches, mentors,
For 5
and
years,
guides.
she had
With AI
imagined this
handling the
moment in
routine
1,000
stuff,
different
teachers
ways.
have more time to focus on
In her
critical
nightmares,
thinking, creativity,
screaming.
and emotional support.
daydreams,
For
he was
parents,
begging.
this transformation offers real-time
reality was
insights.
something
You
she
no
had
longer
never
have to
prepared for.
wait for a report card
His
to
eyes were
understand your
absolute
child's
zero.
progress. You can
There was
track
no
it
anger.
live.
There was
Now,
no
let's
love.
be honest, the
There
road
was no
ahead isn't
recognition
without
of the
its
7 years
bumps.
they had shared, the bed they had slept in, or the life they had built. He looked at her the way a surgeon looks at a tumor, something to be analyzed and, if necessary, removed. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake said. His voice was deeper, resonating with a gravelly authority that the old Jake never possessed. "I am Jake Montgomery. As of 9 a.m. this morning, Montgomery Holdings owns 100% of Whitmore Capital." The room erupted in hushed murmurs. Lance dropped his pen. He stared at Jake, his mouth hanging open like a fish.
Canva caters
Jake?
easy to use design tools.
The history teacher.
Easy to use design tools.
Jake turned his
As
head
for the
slowly
market
toward
opportunity,
Lance.
Canva caters
The movement
to
was so
easy to use-
dismissive it was almost
Canva
violent.
caters to easy to use design tools.
"Mr. Silver,
As for the market
I've reviewed your
opportunity,
portfolio.
Canva caters
Your
to
risk
easy
management
to use
strategies are
design
archaic.
tools.
We'll be addressing that shortly." He turned back to the room, ignoring
Especially
Lance's spluttering.
in the realms of education,
"We are here to
design,
stop the
and
bleeding,"
personal branding
Jake
projects.
continued, pacing slowly behind the head chair. "This firm has been mismanaged. It has prioritized image over
Still
substance,
face the digital
vanity
divide.
over value.
Millions of students
That
still
ends
don't
today."
have access to devices or
Victoria
the
felt as if
internet.
the floor
Privacy
were tilting.
concerns around
She tried to
student
speak,
data are
to
real
assert some
and
kind of
must be
dominance,
taken
but her voice
seriously.
failed
Many
her.
teachers need training
here.
and support
He's
to use
actually
these
here.
tools effectively. And
Jake
with
finally
everything
stopped
going
pacing.
digital, we have
He
to be
rested his
mindful
hands on
of
the back
screen
of the chair,
fatigue and
her chair,
protect
and
students'
leaned forward.
mental and
His
emotional
gaze locked onto
well-being.
hers again.
But here's the thing, none
"Mrs.
of these
Sterling,"
challenges
he
are
said.
permanent.
The
They
name
are
sounded foreign in
solvable
his mouth.
with the right mindset
Victoria,
and
not
collective
Vic.
effort.
Mrs.
So what is
Sterling.
next? By
He used her
2030,
maiden name,
the classroom
the name
will
she
look
had
right.
kept for
PDF for the
professional
resource,
reasons,
but also trying to figure
weaponizing
out like
it
where
to
you are in
distance
life
her
right
further.
now and where it is that you want to go
"I
and try to
understand you are
see
currently
if
the
there is a
managing
gap that they
director,"
could solve
Jake
with their
said,
specific
his
offer
face
or product.
unreadable.
And so once
"My
we get
team has
clear on
prepared
those
a
things,
transition
and as I
file
just
for you.
explained previously,
We will
we're going to get those
evaluate your
people
utility
on a
to the
sales
new
call, then
organization
somebody else is
over the
actually going
next
to take
30
that sales
days.
call for you.
Until
And the
then,
high ticket closer
you
needs to
answer
be
to
on
Ms.
Zoom
Chen.
calls. They need to kind of like show
"Jake,"
their face on
she
camera
whispered,
all day and
the
have a very
words slipping
different
out
skill
before
set
she could
that
stop
more
it.
so comes down to
"What are you
persuasion,
doing?"
higher levels of
The
communication,
room went deathly
and guiding
quiet.
the prospect through
Jake
whether
didn't
this is the
blink.
right fit for them.
He
I
didn't
don't mean
flinch.
persuasion.
He just tilted his head slightly, as if trying to recall a vague acquaintance. "We are conducting a business meeting, Mrs. Sterling," he said, his voice smooth and cold as polished steel. "If you are unable to maintain professional conduct, you are free to resign. The severance package is standard." He turned away from her, dismissing her existence with a turn of his heel. "Now, let's look at the Q3 protections." Victoria sat frozen, the blood draining from her face. He hadn't come back to yell at her.
Radically different.
He had come
We
back
will
to
see
buy her.
virtual learning spaces that
terrifying
span
part
the globe,
was,
AI tutors
she wasn't
that
sure
speak
if he
your
even
native
remembered
language,
hating
even
her.
if your teacher doesn't.
To him,
Smart systems
she was just
that
another
adjust
failing
lessons
asset in the
based on how
portfolio.
you feel that day. Blockchain will
restructuring
allow
of Whitmore
students to
Capital
earn
was
and
surgical.
share verifiable digital
In the 3
credentials.
days
In
since the
terms of like
takeover,
forcing people to
the
buy,
office had
but more so
transformed from a
getting them
bustling
out of their
hive
own
of
hats,
social
helping them
climbers
make a
into
decision
a silent,
whether this is going to be the path
terrified
that they
machine.
should probably take to actually
Desks
start
were cleared,
progressing
in
The
life.
coffee bar was
And
closed.
if you compare that to an
The
appointment
laughter
setter,
that used to echo
appointment
in the
setters are more
hallways
so like
had been
operational in the
replaced by the
background. I
soft,
think it's a
rhythmic
beautiful
hum
skill.
They
of hard
emphasize their
drives
capability to grow
backing up
globally,
data before
especially
termination.
in the online space.
Victoria sat at her desk, staring at an email notification. The subject line was brief.
Canvas business model
Performance
hinged on
review,
a single
14
important
Mao,
component,
J.
premium
Montgomery.
pricing.
She hadn't slept in 72 hours.
They attract
Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jake standing at the head of that table looking through her. She had tried to corner him in the elevator, tried to catch him by the coffee machine, but he was insulated by a phalanx of assistants and Sarah Chen, his terrifying COO. He was a fortress she couldn't breach. At 1:55 p.m., she stood up. She smoothed her skirt, checked her reflection in the dark monitor of her computer, and walked toward the executive suite. The office that used to be hers now belonged to him. The decor had changed.
For
Her abstract
introverts,
paintings
I've
were
been
gone,
one like that as well.
replaced
And
by
I just started
stark,
out without
black
having
and
to
white
show my face
architectural
on social media,
photography.
without having
The
to
lush
be on
plants
camera,
were missing.
being able to do this
The
from my
room was
phone
sterile,
or my
functional,
laptop, where you can
and
basically
intimidatingly
just send
empty.
messages to
users with free
Jake was
features.
sitting behind the desk, her desk, reading a document. He didn't look up when she
and they
entered.
then converted, and then they
Sit,
and
he
they
said.
then
It
and
wasn't a request.
and they
For every
Victoria
skill they
sat in one of
acquire,
the low
and the
guest
old
chairs.
model of school
position
ends at
forced her to look up at
21
him.
will be
It was a
replaced by
subtle
lifelong
psychological
learning,
architectural
because the
trick
future
she had
isn't
used
about
on subordinates
memorizing,
for
it is
years.
about
Now
evolving.
the
Here is the
geometry was used against her. Jake finally placed the document down. He took off his reading glasses, a new accessory that made him look distinguished, intellectual, and utterly foreign. I've been reviewing your client portfolio for the last fiscal year, Jake began, his tone conversational yet distant. It's colorful. I brought in $20 million in revenue last year, Victoria said, her voice tight. My team is the top performer. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, Jake countered smoothly.
then
He picked up a red pen and
they
tapped a
then
line on
converted
the
them into paying
spreadsheet.
clients through the use of
Your
premium
expense ratios
features
are
or
absurd.
premium tools.
Client dinners at the Sapphire Lounge, private jets for domestic
Do you want to build a
meetings.
pitch? Do you want to build a
You
pitch
spend
as
money like a
effective-
Take
drunk
away.
sailor, Mrs.
The future
Sterling.
of education isn't just
Victoria
about technology.
flinched at the mention
It is
of the
about
Sapphire Lounge.
empowerment, empowering
how
students to
business
learn
is done
how
in
they
this
learn
city, Jake.
best, empowering
have to
teachers to
spend to
connect more deeply,
Mr. Montgomery.
empowering
reward people
He
literally
corrected her,
from your phone,
his voice
making sure
dropping
that
an
you set those
octave.
appointments and still can make money with
In this
that.
office,
So that
you
is
will
also
address
like the
me as
difference
Mr.
between
Montgomery.
a high-ticket appointment setter
The silence
and a
that
high-ticket
followed was
closer.
thick enough
If
to
those
choke
terms
on.
are new for you, or if
Victoria
you have been
felt heat rising up her neck. Fine, Mr. Montgomery. I was building relationships. You were buying affection, Jake said. He leaned back, tenting his fingers. It's a common mistake among insecure executives. They believe that if they drape themselves in enough luxury, people won't notice the lack of substance underneath. The words were precise. They were missiles guided by 5 years of memory. He was using the exact cadence she had used that night, the same condescending pity. Is that what this is? Victoria asked.
parents to
her voice
support
trembling
meaningfully.
slightly.
This
You
transformation
came back
isn't
to lecture me on
optional, it is
expenses,
already
to
underway.
humiliate me
And it
because
is
of
not about how smart
what
you are,
happened.
it is about how
Jake's
well your
expression didn't
education
change.
helps you unlock
take
your
the bait.
full potential. That
I am
wondering,
auditing
whether
an
what is
asset.
actually the
And
difference,
right
right?
now,
And
the
so
asset
if those
is
people are going to be
underperforming.
on sales calls and the high
You are
ticket
high
closer
maintenance,
converts
Mrs.
them,
Sterling,
that means that
with a
you're going to
diminishing
get a
yield.
commission based
In
on
investment
what
terms,
that person is
you are a
purchasing, right?
liability.
And usually that means that
He
it's
opened a drawer
as
and
easy
pulled
as
out a
Canva.
single sheet of paper. He slid it across the
And we'll
desk.
send it
This is your new role. You are stripped of
from
executive
Canva, and we'll
authority.
send you across the
You will
exact
report to
same
the
structure
senior
they
analyst
used
division.
to raise over
No
$71
expense
million.
account. No client dinners. You will work on data entry and market research until you prove you understand the value of $1. Victoria looked at the paper. It was a demotion so severe it was insulting. It was the kind of job she would have sneered at 5 years ago. You can't do this, she whispered. I built this department. I own this department, Jake corrected, and I can do whatever I please with it. He looked at his watch. The battered Timex was gone, replaced by a simple, unbranded leather strap watch
really
that
a
looked
product that goes
deceptively
from at least
expensive.
$3,000
You have
up
a
to
choice,
$5,000,
Jake
but
said,
honestly, guys,
returning his
all the way
attention
up
to
to
his laptop.
$100,000 for a
Sign the new
specific
contract
offer that
or
appointment
clean out your
setters can
desk.
actually earn a commission
But
on.
if you leave,
that is really when the
know that
client's
I will enforce
transformation
the
begins.
It is
non-compete
the
clause
real
in your original
revolution.
contract.
So if this
You won't
vision
work in
excites
finance in
you,
Illinois
give
for
this
2
video
years.
a thumbs up, drop
He
a
wasn't
comment
just
and tell
demoting
us
her.
what is one
He was
digital
trapping
tool
her.
that changed
If she
how
stayed,
you or
she
your
was his
child
servant.
learned.
If
Don't
she
forget to
left,
subscribe for
she was
more.
destitute. Victoria looked at him, searching for the husband who used to make her coffee in the morning, the man who used to look at her like she was the sun.
I tried to lose weight
he
like
was
how
gone.
celebrity lose weight for
In his
a
place
movie.
sat a titan of industry who saw her only as a row on a spreadsheet. "I'll sign," she said, her voice barely audible. "Good," Jake said, not looking up. "Close the door on your way out."
Real talk. What would you do here? Jake is using Victoria's own insults against her, calling her a liability and a bad investment. That is poetic justice. He is forcing her to feel exactly how small she made him feel for years. It's satisfying to watch, but it's also tragic because they are just hurting each other now. Do you think Jake is going too far with his revenge, or does Victoria deserve
Deep
every
dives
bit of
into the
this?
future of learning,
The rain in
innovation, and
Chicago
personal
didn't
growth.
wash things
Visit
clean. It just
www.manishgoswami.com
made
for
the
more
grime
mind-expanding content,
Victoria stood
articles,
outside the heavy
and
oak door of the
exclusive
penthouse
downloads.
suite at
You
the
can
Archer
also grab
Hotel,
my latest book,
shivering.
Decoded: What
It
She
wasn't the
Wants.
cold dampening her
all of
coat
this
that
in
made her
just
tremble,
4 weeks.
but the sheer, reckless desperation coursing through her veins. She had spent the day inputting data into spreadsheets that interns used to handle.
I tried to
She had
lose
been
weight
ignored
like how
by former
celebrities
colleagues.
lose weight for
She had
We
been
don't just sell
humiliated.
random courses. This is not like
The Iron
dropshipping
Lady
or
of Whitmore
e-commerce.
Capital
All the
had cracked.
services that these creators,
She
these
pounded
business
on the
owners
door.
are actually providing
It opened a
are
moment
aimed
later.
at transformational client
Jake stood
journeys
there,
where you come in as one
backlit by
person
the warm
and you
glow of
leave
the
out
suite.
as somebody that is actually
He was out of the suit, wearing a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up and the top button undone. He held a glass of amber, liquid, scotch, neat. "Mrs. Sterling," he said, blocking the doorway. "Office hours are over." "Move, Jake," Victoria snapped, pushing past him. The scent of him, cedar and rain, hit her like a physical blow. She marched into the center of the living room, her heels sinking into the plush carpet. Jake closed the door slowly. He didn't look alarmed. He looked bored. "Trespassing.
and I'm
I could
trying
add
do
that to your
all of
file."
this in just 4
"Stop
weeks.
it!" Victoria spun around,
I
her
tried
wet
to
hair
lose
plastering
weight.
against her cheek.
I tried to lose weight
"Stop
in
with
just
the
4
files
weeks,
and the
I'm-
assets and the Mrs.
I tried to
Sterling
lose
crap.
weight like how
You want to
celebrities
fire
lose
me?
weight for
better,
Fire
that has
me.
more skill levels,
You
that
want
has
to
more
ruin me?
adequacy in whatever
You've
it is
done it.
that they are trying to achieve.
But don't
now,
stand
with
there
that
and
said, guys,
pretend we
it's
didn't
not that
share
we
a
try to
life for
book
7
in
years.
everybody and their mom
Don't
in terms
pretend
of like
you
being
aren't the
on a
man
sales
who
call, right?
promised to love
But
me
what we
until he
actually try
died.
to do is figure out whether
Jake
some
took a sip
What
of his
she
drink.
shows and
His
what
eyes
she will
narrowed,
never say.
the ice in
Available
them
now
cracking
on
just
my
enough to
website
reveal a
in digital
burning coal
format
of anger
and on
beneath.
Amazon in paperback. Join my
The
email
man who
tribe
made that
for
promise
weekly
was a
wisdom
fool,
bombs or write
Jake
to
said
me
quietly.
directly at
And you made it very
info@manishgoswami.com.
clear you thought of him. "I don't know what you're talking about. You left. You walked out without a word, Jake. I came home and you were gone." "I was at the Sapphire Lounge, Victoria." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Victoria went still. The color drained from her face as the memory of that night, the cocktails, the laughter, the cruelty came rushing back. Jake walked toward her, his voice low and dangerous. "I was 5 feet away. Behind the velvet curtain, I heard every word."
Somebody is truly the right
Pathetic.
fit for that program.
child.
Like, our goal is to help.
A
Our
bad
goal is not to
investment.
scam people and take their money in
He
return for
stopped
it
inches
and then
from her,
basically run away,
looking
right?
down with a
So it's
mixture of
also very
disgust and
important
pain.
that if you desire to be
You
an
didn't
appointment
want a
setter,
husband,
that you're going
Victoria.
to find an offer
You
that
wanted
And
a
don't
trophy.
forget to check out
And when I
premium
didn't
wellness
shine
products
bright enough for
that
your
fuel your
friends,
brain and
you
body.
threw me in the
Available
trash.
now at
I just saved you the trouble of taking me
www.dapier.com.
to the
Thanks
curb.
for listening. The future
Victoria
of
opened her
education
mouth,
isn't coming.
but no sound
It is
came
here
out.
and it
The
is
shame was a
personal.
hot, physical
I tried
weight
to
in her
lose weight
gut.
like how celebrities would
She
lose
remembered
weight for a
Lance's
movie.
hand on her
And I'm doing
arm.
all of this
She
in just
remembered the
4
laugh.
weeks.
She stammered, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't mean it. It was the alcohol. It was the pressure. Jake, I was stupid. No, Jake said, turning away. You were honest. That's the only time you were ever honest with me. I loved you, she whispered. You loved a ghost, Jake replied, his back to her. And ghosts don't stay. The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by the sound of rain lashing against the window. It was the end, the closure she had demanded, but it felt like a death sentence. Then, a sound cut through the tension. Buzz, buzz, buzz.
That aligns with you,
It was
that you
Victoria's
know
phone.
actually gets people
She ignored
results.
it.
Because
She
you
was
don't want to
staring
be
at
in
Jake's
bed
back,
wondering
willing
whether
him
you
to turn
scam
around.
somebody that day, still
Buzz,
make money
buzz,
from it,
buzz.
and then, live
Answer
on
it,
and go on
Jake
with your
said
life.
roughly.
That is not what we
Then
try to
leave.
do here. So really, the
Victoria
appointment
pulled the
setters
phone from
are,
her pocket,
I think,
intending
even the
to
most
silence it.
fundamental piece
But when she
of
saw
a
the
lot of
caller
businesses
ID,
online,
her heart
because they
stopped.
are the gatekeepers
It wasn't
of
the
who they
office.
actually send
It
towards the
wasn't a
sales
client.
call. It's the content
Elena,
creator.
nanny. It was 10:30 p.m. Elena never called this late unless it was an emergency. Victoria's hand shook as she swiped the screen. Elena, what's wrong?
This is
Jake,
how
hearing the
much
shift
weight
in her
I have
tone,
lost in
from
just
desperate
4
ex-wife
weeks
to
as a
terrified mother,
beginner.
turned around
This is
slowly.
how much weight I
He
have
watched her
lost
face
in just
crumble.
4 weeks as a beginner.
Fever? Victoria asked, her voice pitching up in panic. How high? 104? Did you call the pediatrician? Okay. I'm coming right now. Tell Maya mommy is coming. She hung up, her face pale as a sheet. She forgot about Jake. She forgot about the audit. She turned blindly toward the door. Wait, Jake said. His voice was no longer the voice of a CEO. It was sharp, confused. Victoria froze, her hand on the doorknob. Who is Maya? Jake asked. Victoria didn't turn
Because
around.
actors and
Her shoulders
celebrities
hunched
only
tight.
spend couple of
I have to
weeks
go.
to lose extreme
Victoria.
weight for a
Jake
role
stepped
in a
closer,
movie.
the pieces clicking together in his mind. The timeline, the medical leave he had seen in her old HR files that he assumed was for stress. Who is Maya?
This is how much weight I
She
have
turned to
lost
look at him,
in just
her eyes
4
fierce and
weeks.
wet. She's my
This is how much
daughter,
weight
Job
Victoria
to generate all these leads that going to land
old is
inside
she?
the inbox, or sometimes
Jake
we even
demanded,
reach out to these
the
leads
air
as well
leaving the
because they're
room.
following the profile, which
Victoria
is what we call
hesitated.
outbound. Again, I'll
The
get to
truth
that in a
was, the only
second. But
weapon
then
she
what
had
happens
left,
is that we try
and
to
it was
really
going
make
to
sure that
destroy
those
them
people
both.
are a fit. And
She's
again, we do
4.5,
that with the
Jake.
GPS model, goal problem
Jake did the
solutions,
math.
making sure
The
that
silence
people
that
are
followed was
clear
louder than
on
any
where they
scream.
are right now,
4.5 years old.
where they want to go, and what the
That
gap
meant
is.
she was conceived just before he left. Or right after. Is she? Jake started, his voice failing. I have to go to the hospital, Victoria said, opening the door. If you want to fire me for leaving early, go ahead. I don't care anymore. She ran out into the hallway. This time, Jake didn't just watch her leave. He stood frozen in the center of his expensive hotel room, the glass of scotch slipping from his fingers to shatter on the floor. The emergency room at Northwestern Memorial Hospital smelled of antiseptic and stale coffee.
The skill
A sharp
or the
contrast
solution
to the cedar
towards
and leather
what
of the
is
hotel
offered
suite
actually is
Jake had
fitting
just
into
left.
that gap, and
He
then
walked
that
through the
that
automatic
lead actually has
doors,
the belief of
his
wanting to make a
bespoke
decision for
suit
themselves
wet
and
from the
wanting to
rain,
change the
drawing
situation that they're
stares
in.
from
So
the
now that you
tired
know
staff.
what appointment setting is, what it
He didn't
entails,
care.
and what kind of like the
The
purpose
only
is
thing
of what
propelling
an
him
appointment setter
forward
tries to do
was
on
the
a daily
thunderous
basis,
beating of his own
let's talk
heart.
about
I have lost in just
He found
4
her in a
weeks
waiting alcove near the
as a
pediatric ward.
beginner. This is how much
Victoria
weight I
was
have
sitting
lost
on a
in
plastic
just 4
chair,
weeks as a
her head in
beginner.
her hands.
Because actors and
She looked
celebrities only
small.
spend couple of weeks
The Iron Lady
to
armor
lose
was gone,
extreme weight
stripped
for a
away
role
by
in a
fear.
movie.
Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged. She looked like the girl he had met in the university library 12 years ago, before the money, before the ambition, before the silence. Jake stopped a few feet away. Victoria? She looked up, startled. Her eyes were red. You shouldn't be here, Jake. You told me I have a daughter? Jake said, his voice trembling with a mixture of rage and awe. Where else would I be? Victoria stood up, crossing her arms defensively. She's stable. The fever broke. It was a severe viral infection, but she's okay. Why? Jake asked. The word was a heavy stone dropping between them. 5 years,
how
Victoria.
Do these celebrities
you had
lose
5
weight?
years to find me.
But
to
how
tell
do
me.
these celebrities lose
Find
weight?
you? Victoria let out a fractured laugh. You vanished, Jake.
And what
You
do they know
disconnected
that
your
we
phone.
don't?
The differences
You deleted your
between
social media.
inbound and
You moved
outbound.
to Boston.
Because inbound
You became a
is
ghost.
where people
How was I
reply
supposed
to
to
these
tell you?
keywords. For example,
Send
PDF,
a letter to the
or
void?
where do you see like this word inside
You
the
could have
bio
tried harder,
that literally says
Jake
like
accused,
DM me how to
though
get
the
like a
certainty
free
in his
course
voice was
or
wavering.
whatever, right? That is what
I
we
was
call
pregnant
inbound
alone,
messages. But on
Victoria
the flip
hissed,
side,
keeping her voice low so the nurses wouldn't hear. I found out 3 weeks after you left. I was scared. I was heartbroken. And yes, I was angry. You left your ring on the counter like a tip for a bad waitress. You didn't give me a chance to apologize, to fix it, to tell you anything. She took a step closer, her eyes blazing. So I did what I had to do. I worked. I took the promotions. I became the shark you hate because I had to pay for a nanny, for the best schools, for her. I didn't build that career for vanity, Jake.
What do they know
I
that
built
we
it for
don't?
safety.
And how did these actors,
Because the man who was supposed to protect
and
us
how did these
decided he'd
actors
rather
and
be a memory.
celebrities systematically plan their
Jake
guide
felt
to
the air
lose
leave
weight
his
in just
lungs.
couple of weeks?
He had spent
just
5 years
before the
constructing a
start
narrative
role
where
for
he
him.
there's
was the
also
sole victim,
outbound messages.
the
Now,
martyr of a
there's two
materialistic
types of
marriage.
outbound, and there's only one
He
that you
hadn't
decide to
considered
work
that his
with, and the
silent
other you want to
departure was its
actually run
own
away
form
from,
of
because then
cruelty.
you could rather actually
He had punished her
start your own
silence
business
with
and do that for
absence.
yourself.
And in
Because
doing so,
there's two types of
he had
outbound,
punished
and the
himself.
first one really is that
Can I see her? Jake asked, his voice breaking. Victoria hesitated. She looked at the door to room 304, then back at Jake. She saw the pain in his eyes, not the cold, calculated look of the CEO, but the raw, terrified look of a father. She's asleep, Victoria whispered. Don't wake her. She opened the door. The room was dim, lit only by the glow of the vitals monitor. In the center of the bed, a small figure lay under a white blanket. Jake walked over, his legs
you're
feeling
going
like
to be
lead.
messaging the
He looked
followers that are
down.
already engaging
Maya
with the
had
content,
dark
liking
curls,
posts,
just
kind
like
of like
his mother.
commenting underneath
Her
pieces
eyelashes
of
were
content
long,
that the creator is
resting on
posting, or
flushed
are already
cheeks.
following the profile for a while.
One small
Those people
hand
are generally
was
warmed
curled
up.
into
We've
a
never
fist on the
engaged with
pillow.
them before, but those are
Jake
only
reached
the
out,
people outbound
his
that are
hand
worth
shaking
actually contacting,
uncontrollably.
because it feels
He hovered
less
his fingers
abstract.
over her hair, terrified that if he touched her, she might vanish like a dream. He lightly brushed a curl away
And they
from her
do
forehead.
this every single
She stirred,
time.
letting out a
I
soft
mean, look at
sigh,
their diet.
and turned her head.
This diet is engineered
In
with
the dim
scientific
light,
proof.
Jake saw the curve of her chin.
This diet is
It
engineered
was
with
his
scientific
chin.
proof. And
The stubborn
tactics to
set of her
promote
jaw, even in sleep, was his. A tear leaked from Jake's eye, tracking through the stubble on his cheek. He had conquered a company. He had amassed a fortune. He had brought his enemies to their knees. And looking at this little girl, he realized it was all ash. He had missed her first step, her first word, her first laugh. He had won the war, but he had lost the years. He turned to Victoria, who was watching him from the doorway, tears streaming down her own face. She knows about you, Victoria said softly.
weight lost.
I told her Daddy is an
But it can't be their
explorer,
diet.
that he's away
It
on a
gotta be
long
something else,
expedition.
right?
Jake looked back at his daughter. The anger that had fueled him for half a decade evaporated, leaving behind a vast, aching hollow. I need to fix this, Jake whispered. You can't fix 5 years, Jake,
They've
Victoria
already been
said sadly.
consuming some
You
of the
can't buy
stuff
back
that the
time.
creators actually been putting out
No,
there.
Jake
Now, the second
agreed,
type of
straightening up.
outbound that you actually want to
He looked
steer
at
away
Victoria,
from is that when
really
you have
looked at
to
her,
basically find
seeing
these
the
people that
exhaustion
aren't even
and the
following the
strength she had
profile,
carried
that have
alone.
never engaged with you before,
But I can stop
that have
breaking
never
things.
seen a piece of content.
The signing ceremony
if
was
any
brief,
business owner or
devoid of
creator
the
is going to
champagne and
ask you to do
fanfare that
that,
usually
I highly
accompanied the restructuring of a billion-dollar firm. In the main conference room of Whitmore Capital, soon to be a subsidiary of Montgomery Holdings, Jake sat across from Sarah Chen. "The papers are in order," Sarah said, sliding a thick stack of documents toward him. "Victoria Sterling is reinstated as managing director, with a revised contract securing her tenure for 5 years, independent of performance metrics." Jake picked up the pen. He signed his name with a steady hand. He wasn't just signing a business deal. He was signing a peace treaty.
suggest that
He
you're
was
actually going
returning
to
the
step away
weapon he
from
had
that opportunity, look for something
"And
else,
my
because there's
resignation?"
thousands of opportunities
Jake
out there,
asked.
and you definitely don't want to
Sarah
be
nodded,
wasting your
her
precious time
expression
having
softening.
very little to no earning
"Effective
potential,
immediately.
and then basically
I'll take over as interim
finding out
CEO
after a
until the
month,
board
maybe 2
finds a
months, or
permanent
after 3
replacement.
months, that you've basically
You're
been
walking
wasting your
away
time.
from a
All
lot
right,
of
so the
money,
next
Jake.
section that we're going to cover
"I
is
have
really
enough
like, so then
money,"
how do you
Jake
find
said,
these opportunities?
standing up and buttoning his jacket. "I don't have enough peace."
Maybe they
He walked out of the conference room and down the hall to the office that was once his temporary command
maybe it is
center.
because they exercise a lot.
Victoria was
and they
waiting
have
for him.
training coach, or they
She was
know
dressed in a
something we
suit
don't,
again,
and they want to
the
keep
Iron Lady
that
armor
knowledge
back
a
in place.
secret.
But her eyes were soft, hopeful. "I saw the memo," she said as he entered. "You gave me the company back. Why?" "Because you earned it," Jake said simply. "You built it. I just bought it to prove I could. It was a petty reason to own something." Victoria stepped closer, reaching out to touch his arm. "So what now?" Maya asks about the explorer every day. "We have the apartment. We have us. We can start over, Jake. No secrets this time. No cruelty." Jake looked down at her hand on his sleeve. It was warm. It was familiar.
Maybe
For a moment,
it is because
the temptation was overwhelming to sink back into the comfort of the known,
Maybe it's
to
because
pretend
they
the last
exercise a
5
lot.
years hadn't turned them into strangers.
Maybe it's because
But
they
he looked at
exercise
the
a
office
lot, or
walls,
they have a training
the city
coach,
skyline,
or
the
they know
symbols of the
something we
status
don't.
she craved, and he despised. He gently removed her hand.
Maybe it's because
"We can't
How do I
start over,
find
Victoria,"
these businesses or
he said
creators
softly.
that I can work
"Because we
with, that
aren't
I
the
can
same
collaborate with, to make sure that
can
I'm also
try,"
going to reach my
she pleaded,
own
her
goals,
voice
but they're
cracking.
also going to
"We
reach
have a
their goals
daughter,
with the help of us,
and
right?
I will be her
The appointment
father,"
center. And the question
Jake
is fairly
promised.
simple, but
"I've
what
already
is
bought a house in
required is
Evanston.
a lot
I'll be
of
there every
hard
weekend.
work. But what
I'll
a
be
lot
at
of
every
people
recital,
tend to
every
think that
graduation.
it's literally hard work.
I will never disappear from her life. But I can't live in this house with you. I can't be your husband again." "Why not?" Tears spilled over her lashes. "I still love you." Jake walked to the window, looking out at the gray expanse of Chicago. "You realized you loved me after I left. You respected me only after I became the thing you wanted. Rich, powerful, ruthless. If I went back to being the quiet history teacher tomorrow, Victoria, would you still look at me the same way?"
And in the sense of like,
The
if I'm going to
silence
send
stretched out,
100,000 messages towards
painful
business
and
owners,
revealing.
then suddenly I'll find
Victoria
one. And
didn't
yes, you're
answer
going to land some
immediately.
opportunities
That
that way.
hesitation
But the
was the
amount of
answer.
time that you're spending,
Jake
that you're
turned back
basically
to
going
her.
to be wasting, and
He didn't
let
feel
alone the
anger
energy
anymore, just
that is
a
going to be
quiet,
dissipated from
bittersweet
you for
acceptance.
zero in return when it comes to
"We hurt each
monetary
other too
results.
much,"
You can
he
actually
said.
because they exercise a lot.
"The foundation is
Oh.
cracked. If we try to build on it, we'll just crush Maya when it collapses again." He picked up his briefcase,
Maybe
the
it's
old
because
leather
they
one he had
exercise a
brought
lot.
from
Or
Boston,
they have a training
not the
coach.
designer one.
Or they know something we
He
don't,
walked to the
and they
door,
want to keep
stopping
that
just
knowledge
before
a
the
secret.
threshold. "I'll pick Maya up on Saturday at 10, he said. Victoria nodded, wiping her cheeks. She leaned against the desk, looking defeated but accepting. "You're really going?" "I have to." Jake stepped into the hallway. These bustling sounds of the office resumed. the machine of finance grinding on without him. He walked to the elevator, the heavy doors reflecting his image, a man who had gone to war with his past and survived, but not without scars. He stepped out of the building and onto the busy sidewalk of Wacker Drive. The wind was biting, carrying the scent of the coming winter. Jake pulled back his sleeve and looked at his watch. It was a vintage Patek Philippe, understated and precise.
But the secret is
The hands read 5:30
Well,
p.m.
there's a secret, but the
It was the exact
Well,
time they
there's a
used to meet
secret,
for
but
dinner
the
in the
secret
early
to
days,
succeed in losing
back
do
when
this
they
a
shared
lot
a
smarter.
hamburger and
And
dreams
so you
instead
want
of
to
dividends
reach out to
and
business
insults.
owners that already have a following.
He stared at the
are
dial
already
for a
producing
long moment,
results that you
watching
kind of
the
like
second
know
hand
for
sweep
certain
past
that
the
have
past,
appointment setters or could
ticking
very much
relentlessly
benefit from an
into a
appointment
future
setter
he would
because
have to
nobody
face
is
alone.
actually reaching out to them.
He
And then
didn't
having
look
very
back up at the
specific
tower.
messages with 1-minute loop
You fell in
videos,
love
for
with a
example,
ghost,
where you
Victoria.
explain which
He whispered to the wind, and ghosts don't stay. Jake Montgomery turned up his collar against the chill and walked away, finally disappearing into the crowd, not as an escape, but as a beginning.
Think about this for a second. Jake walking away is the most powerful thing he could have done. He realized that Victoria only respected him when he became a ruthless CEO, a version of himself he didn't even like. Staying would have been a lie. He chose his soul over his ego. That is heartbreaking maturity. Do you agree that broken glass can't be glued? Or should he have stayed for the sake of their daughter?
you are,
Wow,
what your
what a
experience
bittersweet
is, and why you
ending.
love to work
This
with
story
that business.
reminds us that
And guys,
respect
even if
isn't
you
something
don't
you
have
can buy with a
experience, it's not the
CEO
main
title.
thing that people are looking
Sometimes
for.
by the time
If
we
there's
realize
one
what we've
thing that most
lost,
business
it's
owners
simply
are
too
hiring
late to
for,
fix it.
like
Jake
myself,
found his
that is running a
self-worth, but they
$100,000
lost their
business per
family.
month,
If
is
you
that
were
we
Jake,
usually
would you
look
have given the
on
marriage
what you
one
do.
more chance now
And
that she
without this
respects you?
secret,
Let me
humans
know
will
your
never
thoughts
lose
below.
weight
If
and
this
will
story touched
stay
your heart,
fat.
please leave a like
And
and
the
share
good
it.
news is,
Thank you
it's
for listening,
actually
and I'll
quite
see you in the next
simple.
story. Take care.